What's up? We are back for another episode of Juxtaposed, and today we're going to take on the interesting slash controversial slash fascinating conversation about UAPs, and I guess do we still say UFOs? But either way, we're going to dive into it today. Stay tuned. As I said before, we are back. Today we take on the world unknown. The world of UAPs and UFOs that has been getting a lot of traction recently. So on Juxtaposed, I have my guest co-host, MVP.
Your guest go.
My guest co-host. Listen,
MVP.
Listen, he's an unknown phenomenon right now. So we have MVP. We have Vito. He's
yeah, that's what we've been running with today. Make sure to say expert, man.
He's a UAP expert.
That's right.
So we brought him on because he's part of the Incra family. Also because he and I spend way too many time arguing back and forth about this.
Way too much time.
So I figured, what's the better place than to include other people in our argument? Also on the soundboards we have Kane.
Hello.
Yes, he's formerly known as Kels. He's changed his name between the last episode.
Kels who?
Yeah, like who's that guy? We don't even know.
You're such a whistleblower, man.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna jump into this. We don't have a formal structure for this, so we're gonna start off and ask, what are UAPs? And we're gonna go to our
expert,
our internal expert, Vito. Please let us know.
A local expert.
Yeah.
Is that a question?
Yeah, what are they? I mean, for the people who don't know, what are they?
Fuck if I know.
That's a good expert right there.
Great expert
I haven't
response.
actually seen one in real life, but from what they described to us, there's like 5 characteristics of what they classify as a UAP now.
Okay.
One is low observability. The other one is hypersonic speed, so Mach 3 to Mach 7, some craziness like that. And then you got, this has been great to notice off the top of my head.
As an expert, you're supposed to have this stuff written down.
Transmedium travel. So the ability to travel in water, from water to air, and then in space without. And then no obvious signs of propulsion.
Got you.
So no, the flight characteristics that we know, wings, propellers, all of that stuff. And then no obvious signs of exhaust. These things don't give off heat signatures. And we know if we burn energy, you're going to see heat. Any type of propulsion system is supposed to burn heat. So those are the 5. I think I got 5.
Yeah, that was 5.
Okay.
So I guess the other question I have is, what?
You sound like an expert, man.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man. That's why
He started off shaky though. He started off real shaky.
Right about here, it needs to say expert, like right.
Yeah. Right there. Okay, I'm with it.
Okay, all right.
So my question for, I guess, I'm gonna try to play the part of someone who knows nothing about this. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between UAPs and UFOs? Damn.
Fuck if I know.
Is there any difference?
No, they're according to them, a UFO is an unidentified flying object, right? We associate UFOs with flying saucers and shit of that nature. But it's just an unidentified flying object. It means nothing. It just means you couldn't identify whatever you've seen at the time. So I guess they're starting to identify these things. Gotcha. And they're giving the name is UAP. It's unidentified aerial or anomalous phenomenon. That's what it's called.
Anomalous. Yeah, I was saying that wrong. So theoretically, that balloon that came from China could have been a UFO if we weren't able to figure out that it was a balloon.
Yeah, I mean, initially, yes, it was a UFO. Initially, it was classified as a UFO until somebody laid eyes on it, and then it was classified as a balloon.
Interesting.
Not to mention, it was like 3 other things shot down, and we have no.
That's a whole nother conversation for another time because that was a busy week.
They didn't say shit.
That was a busy week. What is your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm trying to set up the conversation in a way that we normally have our conversations. No, but a lot of things have happened over the last couple of months, especially with this, including the Senate hearing, and that's kind of what sparked a lot of our conversation. So my question to you is let's walk us through what has been happening, and then we'll ask other questions as we go along.
So more recently, you've had Congress, you've had senators kind of take an interest in this thing. And I can pinpoint when it started. It kind of started in 2020 or 2018 when there was a article that came out from the New York Times about our Pentagon having a UFO program. It's called ATIP at the time, or OSAP, one or the other. Can't decide on what we historically want to call it, but it was a program. They were spending millions and millions of dollars investigating UFOs, and this story got blew up by a guy named Lou Elizondo, and he actually was like the head of the thing, or he, worked his way up to be the guy in charge. And when he couldn't get any traction in the government, he decided to go public. So he quit his job, and he came out and told everybody, "Hey, we're not alone. There's things flying around in our skies that we can't identify." So, this was making its rounds during the pandemic. I'm like one of those guys who like to watch the news. I like to keep up with current events. I'm not a UFO guy, but this was like dead smack on the news during, a pandemic when we were all sitting at home. So it kind of slipped by. People weren't paying attention to what was going on. And then a little bit after that, you had the Pentagon admit that they did have a program. And then Lou Elizondo, along with a guy named Jeremy Corbell, released some video from the military, from Department of Defense. It's 3 videos of these things in action, or what they call UFO or UAP. And then the Pentagon went and declassified these videos and said, "Hey, these are real." So they gave the video some validity and some life to them. So that's where we started at.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it's been snowballing. You got Congress people. You had a congressional hearing about it. You had David Grush. So I don't know where you want to start in the more recent times, but or do you still want me to just timeline it for you?
No, I mean, that was a good intro. I think it's a good start to this conversation that has been, I want to say, categorized as like crazy people talk for a long time.
Right.
So it's a good place to start that conversation.
Yeah.
I guess, what are you like talking to the other 2 people who haven't spent time arguing this on the phone? What are your thoughts on UAPs and potential?
So for the UAPs, I didn't know what that was. And honestly, I'm the type of person, I don't like people changing a bunch of stuff, so I'm gonna say UFO. But I understand the definition you gave, which makes sense to me. But for sake of I don't like having to learn this other letters, I'm just gonna say UFO, right? So, because every time you say UAP, I think of some stuff I do in tech. So, which I know is not the same thing.
But
like UPS.
Okay.
But it's too many letters. So I'm just say UFO. So my thing is, I do know about UFOs. And so I know what they look like, apparently, like the saucer and stuff like that. So when the expert was talking, I was like, okay, I can align those 2. But I do like the fact that there is more it's more concrete now, even though it's still like a phenomenon, but I know what a phenomenon is. So I'm like, okay, well, they're saying, hey, we've seen enough of this to know it's a thing now. And so I can understand that with the base level of understanding I have about UFOs. And I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. So I think we can all be on the same page where I believe where we all believe there's something exists in terms of other life forms.
Yeah, we're not alone.
Okay. So obviously. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page of that. Now, I know some stuff like being in the military and like being in a certain level of it. I know some stuff, and seeing, I guess, this come to light, like this the unclassified stuff, is gonna bring like a whole new what's the word? Like it brings like a whole new different like scene to it, and I'm curious to see how it evolves. Because like Nick, the MVP said, We don't. We know it's a thing, but we don't. I would like to know what that thing is, and there's gonna be even more conspiracies now that we actually have like validity to these videos.
Yeah,
so.
I like that word validity. I was like going to use that word myself, but there's a lot of syllables. But anyway, go ahead.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, we're always gonna anytime because there's been such a large attempt at, and you could talk about the disinformation campaign that feel has been happening when it comes to this, but like it feels like it's still a little taboo to be having the conversation, knowing that people have considered this crazy for such a long time. What the hell?
That's the government trying to shut you.
Yeah, for real, dog.
They peep game. Like, hold up, man, you doing too much information you're giving out.
What the hell? Yeah. So sorry, I I had a rookie moment that my phone rang apparently. But yeah, so like. Where are we going from now? And also, my question that I've been asking this whole time is why is this coming out now? Because technically, we've been having sightings of this since I think you had said the 40s or the 50s or something like that. At least from our recorded history that we know of. So why are we talking about it so much now?
So, to answer that question, I would have to be privy to what the hell they got going on, and none of us are. But what I will say is there's some theories out there that kind of make sense. You got one, we are facing, and people are actually seeing the effects of global warming. Some people are saying the technology that I guess these UAPs or UFOs possess could stop us from going down this path of global warming, and the government wants to release it slowly. It's technology that me and you, if we seen going down the street, it'd be like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Yeah. The other thing is that maybe there's something on its way here that they can't stop. Like, I wouldn't tell, if I wanted to keep a secret from somebody, the only way I would be forced to come out and expose that secret is if somebody else was coming to tell them about it. You know what I mean? Or I knew, like, hey, the jig is up. You know what I mean? So that could be one thing. You got people online with conspiracy theories. Some people say like 2027 or some shit like that something's supposed to be happening. But I was here for Y2K and ain't shit happening. So
still waiting for my computer to crash.
Exactly.
Still waiting.
So there's a lot of conspiracy theories that popped up from this. But before we go like further, I just want to set up where we are now. So I don't know if you know this, Kyle or MVP. Like you got you had a congressional hearing, right?
Okay.
This was televised. It was Kyle. You watched it, right?
I watched the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah. And this was televised, and you had three key witnesses, two pilots, and David Grush, who is an intelligence security officer, or was a intelligence security officer, basically coming out and telling us stuff that we've heard before, but we just never heard from somebody that was currently, discharged or just currently left our government. So David Grush's claims were kind of mind blowing. He said the government knows what UFOs are, that they've captured craft and they have craft and they are in possession of it. But 3, they've been trying to reverse engineer those things. And then 4, that they're in possession of non-human, I think he used the word biologics, like non-human bodies. So what do you guys think of that? I mean, this is a guy who came from having one of the highest levels of clearance in our government. It couldn't get any higher. Working for the Pentagon, the CIA, he was basically in the middle trying to figure out this UAP thing, and they appointed him to do so. And then when he figured all of this out, they kind of shunned him, and so he left. And once again, you got from Lou Elizondo's footsteps, he left, and then he told everybody publicly. So what do y'all? I mean, how does that sound coming from somebody that just literally left the government and worked for him?
Well, one thing I noticed, and I was like, okay, he was an intelligence officer for like 14 years. That's a long time to be in the game, in any type of game. So already he has years of experience, and it sounds like, because you've seen this before where someone says, okay, if I'm going to out something, let me make sure I do it in a way where I don't get caught up. So he leaves, right? After 14 years. And it doesn't sound like it was like for bad behavior or anything like that.
Yeah.
He leaves and then he gives us this information. It's hard for me not to believe what he's saying based off the way he stepped out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So already I'm like, if I already believe there's something out there, like it just doesn't make sense to me that we're the only people in this vast galaxy, universe, or whatever you want to call it. Now, we all know about the movies and stuff like that, what we've seen, right? But I'm like, I also noticed there's been 800 sightings of the UAPs, not the UFOs, the
800?
UAP, 800.
He did his homework.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm out here with the expert. I got to know a little bit of something. So I'm like, that's a lot of people. There got to be something in there. And then you have this intelligence officer. It's too many things happening. And what the expert was saying as well.
You're not going to call him the expert all day.
Vito, what he was saying, that I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, my bad.
See,
my
man,
bad.
I was on the road.
Hey, Kyle, you messed him up, man.
My bad.
But why would maybe there's something coming or something's happening. If I have a secret, I want to get that secret out before somebody else tells you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me.
It does, but I'll let Kane.
This is the thing. How do I say this? I don't think it's a stretch. I believe in a lot of these things, but I think it really depends on how the intelligence officer, how he really worded these things. Like, for example, Vito mentioned, the expert mentioned that he mentioned biologics, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you can view it as like, let's say, an alien body, but it can also be something as simple as like, we found a flower from a different, I don't know, anything like it, or a micro, like any type of like bacteria from outside of our of Earth, which could also identify as that. So I really think it depends on how exactly it was worded. And knowing the military, they're very precise with how they say things. So it could be, and it could be left up to interpretation for a lot of people. But I do believe that there's truth into what he's saying.
The thing that you cannot argue, especially with these witnesses that came forward, is you cannot argue their credibility. Like, you cannot argue their credibility. Now, you can argue other specific things. Like, for example, David Grush had a lot of information that he was not able to say in an open forum. So they're like, yeah, we could talk about it in the skiff. And I'm like, that don't help me because I'm not in there. I don't know what is happening there, right? And so it's very hard for me to like fully be like, oh, I know without a shadow of a doubt, and that's like the basis of our arguments a lot of times, that this is definitely going on and this is what's happening. And I'm like, I know that there's no way in this world that we can assume with our simple understanding of how this universe came to be that there are not other things in the world. And to even go even further into that, we don't know everything about Earth. There's parts of Earth that no human has ever traversed.
The ocean, like mad parts of the ocean that we have not.
We can even get close to, right?
Yeah.
So we can't say that we don't have a bunch of people or a bunch of things living in our ocean. Like Namor and them people from Black Panther could be down there. We don't know. I'm going real specific. I'm being ridiculous, but no, seriously, we don't know. So the argument always comes into like, well, is there credibility in some of these statements? And I think if you go against the three people that were in that congressional hearing, there's no reason for me to question their validity or their integrity, nothing. Mm-hmm. The parts that I always question, which we're going to get into the debate now, and I see him, I'm calling you Vito, because right now we beefing right now. No, I'm kidding. But no, like one of the part that we argue in is that one, the stuff that we have seen in these videos are not of the highest quality, whereas we can see that freaking I forgot this girl's name, but the booty hole brown girl, we could see all her videos and like
was it Sexy Red?
I'm being ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. But the thing about it is like we catch so many videos in higher quality. And this is when I want to bring it up because I know your argument, and I also want to hear everybody's point. How is it possible that we have literally we don't have no 4K video of any alien UAP nothing right now? Everything is grainy and it's hard to describe. Go on. I want to set up. I'm setting up the
I was
argument
itching
right
to
now.
get at you, bro. I was itching to get at you. But what I will say is this, right? There are was it yesterday? Either yesterday or the day before, we got a website from Arrow, which is the All Anomaly. I don't fucking know, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you said that to me.
So we got a website and we got 3 new UFO photos or UAP photos, videos. I'm sorry. They debunked 3 or 4 of the videos that are up there that we've seen before. One of them they said was their best guess was that it was a plane. And the other 2 was some sensor issues, but there are 3 videos up there that are classified as UAP, right? Okay. One of them is a spear, a fucking spear. It's like this. I don't know if it's this big, but it looks this big in the video. Like, it's a spear, metal spear flying over active war zone, right? And one of our drones captured it, and they followed it, and they pursued it so they couldn't basically follow it anymore, and it took off. Another one is we got a drone, one of those military drones, fighter drones, flying around, and there's a UAP flying behind it. And these are videos you can access yourself now. Like I said, Arrow is a part of the intelligence community, I believe.
Yeah, it's they're part of all domain anomaly. Whatever. I give up.
that one.
It's that word. It's that word. We'll put it on the screen.
So my point is this: we got 3 videos originally that turned into 4, and now we got 3 new videos, right? Of what they're classifying as UAP.
Okay.
We know, or what we should know, is that the military, these fighter jets, most of their equipment as far as vehicles like ground transportation, this stuff is mass produced. They're not gonna put a fucking Sony goddamn DSLR on the front of the tank that they may lose. You know what I mean? Like, it's not feasible for them to build a piece of equipment that's already multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and then add a high-tech camera on the front that they have to service and maintain. It's not going to happen. So most of the time you're seeing a camera that is meant to track, trace, identify a threat, and shoot the bitch down. Like, that's it. It's not meant to get the most detail and the higher quality. That's why they give them 3 or 4 different resources. They give them the radar. You got eyesight and visual contact, and then you have whatever you can see on this piece of shit, that's mounted to a fucking machine gun. Like, you're not gonna get the best quality cameras, bro.
So I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna let you guys give your point, because if you could take a drone, fly it from New Mexico to freaking, and they're literally flying it in the middle of a war zone in Iraq. You telling me this thing can't see all the way to? We have satellites that can see a pimple on your face.
Somebody check fact that or fact check that. Yeah, please.
But
I almost agree to that shit, man.
Think about it this way: your Google Earth can see from satellite view very close. So that's what is available to the consumer. As people in the military, they're not going to give you access to everything.
Okay.
So you're telling me that these things are not made for taking, your Instagram videos off of them, but that's not the point. They can spot something from miles away, use radar and satellite information to confirm something, and you're telling me we can't see any better videos than we're at. Let everybody else know their opinion.
Go ahead.
So I hear what you're saying, Styles. But I guess my thing is like, We're talking about fighter jets and drones?
Yeah.
And we're talking about something that they can't catch.
They saw it enough for them to be able to
hold
identify
on.
what it is.
They can't catch this thing.
Right.
Sounds like some other. You're talking about a fighter jet, one of the fastest things out here, can't catch a spear.
Okay, you can't catch a bee. You can see it though. All right,
I can catch a bee. I don't know about you, but I can catch a bee.
If a bee's flying at full speed, you cannot catch a bee.
I've caught a bee.
Not flying
with
at
my
full
bare
speed.
hands.
Okay, moving on.
Hold on.
Oh, are you not done? My bad.
I'm not done. Sometimes it's about timing. But anyway,
okay.
What I'm saying is, I can understand that this is something otherworldly going on if I have one of the fastest things and I can't even get close enough to even get the footage. Because even if it is like a trashy like camera or whatever, my question is they should at least be able to get close enough to get to it and like get a better view.
Yeah.
But they can't even get close because it just takes off.
But that's from what my understanding of limited understanding is a lot of these sightings have been over military training exercises. So they're technically already in awareness mode. So you see something happy like, oh wait, what is this? And if you're seeing it, that means that you're seeing it with enough time to make a determination. Well, I don't know what that is. So it's not about catching it. You've seen the thing exist in your space. So I don't think catching it is is a thing.
Well, but I mean, I don't know about the training part, but like if you see something in your space, isn't it their job to like go get that thing or like or shoot it down or whatever? Because
investigate it at least.
Yeah,
investigate. Yes.
So even not catch it, but like I don't know how you're going to investigate something if you're so far you can't even get it on your camera.
But
so
I don't think and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Vito, but I don't think every one of those videos is the thing just scurrying off as soon as it's seen. I think a lot of this stuff is kind of hanging out, and then when the interaction happens, then it takes off.
Yeah.
So what you're saying to me is that something is just hanging out, loitering, and when they see the police, they dipset.
This conversation took a turn.
That tells me that thing has a level of intelligence.
That's a fact.
We're not questioning that.
Okay.
We're questioning the fact that we still don't have what I would consider the highest quality evidence that has been verified.
Can I interject?
Well,
So this is the thing, right? I'm trying not to dox myself. Okay,
please.
My job in the military is geospatial intelligence. That's okay. So everything with drones, with satellites, with all this, that's why I'm like smiling as like you were talking about, because this is all I know, right? This is like everything I'm doing is this, right?
Okay. The one thing I can interviewing him, like
the one thing I can say, okay, is that 100% these drones have the quality. If we could like panchromatic, I can say that we like certain images, they're very, very good quality. So this quality exists. Looking at the videos that have been recently like published, these are more like things like I would say like in like fighter jets is like those type of I guess images, which is where it's not going to be anywhere as good. Cool. But with the things that the pop, with what we can do, it should be available.
But that's
what makes it so shady. That's kind of like shady, hard to like.
Exactly. I'm gonna let you come back in a second. My biggest thing is like to say that this stuff is not quality's not good. Look at the quality we have on our iPhone, right? Or on your Android. If you're getting that as a consumer, that means that what they were doing in the military is way and more advanced. Because generally it goes, government and military, then it gets released to the consumer.
Yep.
Go on.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with what MVP was saying, and I definitely agree with Kane was saying. I know there's technology out there. I've never worked in the military, but I've seen other videos and be like, yo, why we can't get this quality video for, this UAP shit? But what I will say is there are two arguments here, right? One, to say that there aren't other videos, you're basically assuming that every video you've ever seen of a UFO or UAP is either fake or, you just don't believe it. Because there are videos that were taken by iPhones. There are people who upload UAP videos all the time. So we can't say that there's no video out there of UAPs. We're just choosing not to believe those videos. Or because those videos aren't military or been released by the DOD, then we're saying those videos may not have the same validity as the other videos, right? That's one thing. The other thing is, no, I want you to speak to that. So speak to the fact that people, I've sent you personally videos, high quality videos of what people assume or calling UAPs. Why do you dismiss that and say, okay, there are no 4K videos?
No. I'm just saying it's not that I'm dismissing it. I'm just saying that we're able to tell what's happening in Maui right now while it's on fire. I've never been to Maui in my life, right? So we're able to tell what's happening in Canada when they had the fires. I don't know why all my analogies have fires in it right now, but either way, we're able to see what would be considered verifiable videos based on quality and say, okay, well, this is real, right? And I'm not saying that this stuff is not real. I'm just saying that there's because we've been dealing with the idea of UFOs and aliens for a long time, and there's always going to be a certain level of skepticism when it comes to it. There's always going to be extra questions about, like, when a video comes out. Like, we were on the phone with one of your friends, and his arguments I don't agree with, because he's like, oh, there was a spider in the lens. Yeah, you telling me on a fighter jet there's a spider under the lens? What in the venom is going on, bro?
Well, I had a question to kind of piggyback off the spider on the lens, which is okay. The spider's crazy, but are these videos not going through the government first before they come out to us?
Well, and that's a good question, because some of them are like user generated content.
Now, because Arrow has launched this website, they asking people to send in footage. They'll investigate it for you, and then they'll either decide whether it's a actual UAP or not. But before this, remember, people who seen UFOs were crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're asking people to come forward, or when people do upload material, we either you got the crowd who says, oh yeah, that's real. And then you got the crowd who immediately says, man, get the shit off the internet. Y'all, it's fake, or you got people who literally it's their job just to debunk shit like all day.
Well, my point was going to be that maybe, I mean, I can't explain the people who are just like on the streets seeing stuff, but like drones and fighter jets or whatever. I'm wondering that if I was the government and I didn't want certain information to be out, I would, like, I don't want to use the word doctor, but like change it, make the image blurry, make it less quality, so as to not scare the masses.
Well, I think more than anything else, in that case, you just classify it, right? Like, if it's classified, you don't get access to it. So then I could have they honestly, they could have a ton of videos that we just don't have the clearance to see.
Exactly what I was going to say.
So go ahead, if you know.
I'm sorry, and that was my next point, but we got to at least acknowledge that there are people out here who've uploaded videos. There are videos that they can't debunk for some reason or another. So we at least have to acknowledge that, look, the military is not the only people seeing this. This has been going on for years. People have been snapping videos and photos of UAP and UFO for years. It's just we don't really acknowledge it. We don't say, hey, like, I seen a UFO yesterday on the internet. Nobody does that. You know what I mean? We scroll past it and we don't think nothing of it. The other thing is, my bad. I'm sorry. This was the second part. My other thing is, if I wanted to slowly integrate something into your life that you have never seen, couldn't acknowledge, wouldn't know what it is if you've seen it before, how would I do it? Would I release a 4K quality video of this thing that I wanted to introduce to you, or would I slowly start to get you accustomed by maybe giving you the grainy videos first? Because one thing I have heard from congressmen is that they've seen 4K videos, satellite imagery of this stuff, and it's classified. They won't allow them to release it. It's just like children, for example. They come into this world and we want to introduce them to what else is in this world, animals, other beings. We don't take them to the cow first. We don't say, here's my baby. Look at the cow and the baby and have them in an interaction. We slowly introduce these things through cartoons, through books, toys. If you ever notice the baby toys are all animals, and this is how we introduce them into the world of things. So I feel like they're doing that at a grander scale. We may not be able to get the high quality videos right now because we the babies on the block. That's just what it is.
You made me think about the movie Tomorrow War. Yeah, with Chris Pratt. It's on Amazon, I believe.
I don't think I saw that one yet. I haven't seen it. I just saw it pop up. I didn't watch it yet.
Okay, well, I don't think this is gonna be a
It's a
spoiler,
good
but
movie, though.
you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, they have to. Everybody should know this part. They have to go into the future to stop these aliens from just murking all the humans. And they're like, well, what they look like? And they're like, yeah, we ain't gonna show you what they look like because you probably gonna pee your pants if you see this. So we just gonna send you. And I was like, what Vito's saying, I'm like, you don't want mass panic.
Yeah.
Because you know how humans are.
I mean, look at what happened with COVID alone. Like, there was just so much stuff that happened where people were like, "Oh my God," it was so many different opinions. So I agree. You don't want to, come out the driveway driving at 100 miles an hour. Like, you want to slowly move into that. But with that context being set up, where do you see this going over the next couple years? Because I feel like we've had this year has been a year of traction in the UAP world, unlike anything before. So, like, we're talking hypothetical because we don't really, we can't say definitively where we're gonna go. But like, what does everybody think is gonna happen in the next couple of years?
So for me, I think that we're just, especially with this website going on, I think we're going to get more examples. Like, I think we're really going to get what KStylez needs in his life. 4K video. That's going to eventually come out for him. And I think that we're going to have to gradually be in a world where we're going to have the understanding that this is like, it might get like more prevalent of what's going on out here in space and stuff like that. That's what I think. But I don't know how, because the government is really good at like making sure they take their time with revealing things. So I don't know if it's going to happen like in the next decade, but we're definitely going to see more and more of, okay, these people aren't just crazy now. Like, because I think we're already at that point where there's like, okay, it used to be, I want to say like 20 years ago, anybody who said anything about UFOs, they're crazy.
More recent than that.
So now they're like, hey, let's just give it a whole new world a whole new name, because I can't tell you everything, but you're not crazy. And we're going to need to help you out a little bit because this is probably not something we can stop. Yeah. So that's my take on it.
I would agree with what you're saying. Actually, that last part where you said they can't tell you everything, but like they like, because I believe that if they can show, if some of this stuff can be declassified, that is not everything they have. That's my opinion. Yeah, that's not everything they have. True. And a lot of things are classified. Not like, first, the military has no reason to even declassify this stuff. Like from what I know, they don't have a reason to. I think they're doing it for whatever they're doing it for. But if a lot of times things are classified because there's technology that they don't want out there, that the technology that like we have that they don't want out, for not even just for the US, just because they don't want other people to know that we have that technology. So
to piggyback off what you're saying, I've heard rumors of like, that's why our phones have become so advanced so quickly. It's because of that type of technology. Have you heard of that?
It's possible, yeah. I mean,
they were just like, yo, just think about it. The ability that our phones have, that technology is so crazy that we couldn't even thought of that. Like when I was like, what, 2005? Like whenever we had AOL dial-up.
If you think about where we've gone from a technological aspect from 2000 to now, we've advanced what feels like 200 years. Easy
money.
So, I mean, there's probably a lot of other things at play. So this is where I got to get into the argument part of like the things that people would say to debunk some of these conversations. Mm-hmm. So once again, why now? And it is interesting that they're doing it now when, like Congress has been kind of pressing out the DOD around and the Pentagon on just losing money on stuff. They just lose money. And so now we're getting a place where if there's something that we're able to put some, like they started up Arrow and they did a bunch of stuff around that. Now that's money they can be getting towards this thing that they may not have been able to justify for something else, right? Like, so what is your thoughts on the fact that like someone can argue, well, this is just the government shuffling money around in order to justify their spending?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this real quick. If anybody knows anything about the Pentagon, they lose billions of dollars every freaking quarter, and nobody knows where that money goes.
And it never comes to my pocket. That's all I'm saying. Jesus. Go ahead.
They're like a section of the government that is not, I don't want to say, it's almost like not regulated. The intelligence community, the CIA, the Pentagon, they have their own hierarchy, which is, I feel like why this is kind of happening now too. It's like Congress and these people are tired of not having control of that section of spending and transparency. And yes, you're an intelligence agency, and yes, we don't need to know everything that's going on. We don't need to know what you're doing to protect, United States citizens. But when you're losing $6 billion with a B, and it's unaccounted for, something needs to happen. Like one of the senators said, he said, if we lost $6 billion and we couldn't account for it, we'd be in jail.
Yep.
And that's just a fact. So I think that's one part of it is why you're seeing such a push from Congress and other branches of the government to get this stuff out is because they're kind of sick of the bureaucracy that's going on over there. The other thing is, to your point of why now, and this is just my theory. I don't know how true this is. There was back in 2018, 2019, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. There was a interstellar object that came through here. And this was the first time we've ever in history documented an interstellar object coming through our solar system. The object came in and then got to a certain point in our solar system and then accelerated out of our solar system. And that object was a Oumuamua. That's what they called it. The people in Hawaii discovered it, and then there was like this big debate back and forth of whether or not it was gases. But they put the camera on it. They were able to basically see these fumes and tell what kind of exhaust is burning off of this thing, and it was nothing. So they have still to this day they haven't been able to classify or tell you exactly what it was that made the thing accelerate back out of our solar system. I think personally we're getting to a time where we're being approached more and more. One of the Harvard scientists, this is the guy who just yesterday said he found, traces of alien craft that crashed in the Pacific Ocean. He actually has, the evidence and the science behind it to state why he's saying that. But he was like the first person to say Oumuamua wasn't a meteorite or, that this thing accelerated out and this thing was had to be technologically advanced. But I think we're getting to a point where we're being contacted and visited or observed. And I don't think the government is going to be able to stop you from going out at night and seeing this shit happen. So it's like, let me tell you first that this has been happening versus you coming outside and finding out and going into a panic. I mean, look what that would do to society if you think about it. Like,
so
well, that's awkward.
Yeah, I don't know.
The government got him, bro.
Yo, that's what it is, man. He's like, oh, you giving too much of the real. But to go off the point, I think that there is some truth to that, because if I'm spending all this money and you can't tell me where it's going, but then you're telling me this ain't real and it's not a thing, then why do I keep spending money for it?
Yeah.
And so I can understand, like, okay, we've been doing this merry-go-round for a long time now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with everything like the pandemic and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
Just all these type of things that's happening. And I'm like, well, if this is not real, if this is not a thing, we can just stop paying for this. And then they're like, well, actually, it kind of is real, but we can't say everything. You can't take out funding. I'm like, but show me something then, because if not, I can just go ahead and take this somewhere else. So I think that's a good part. I did hear about the I want to say I saw a video too of the thing. He said interstellar thing. It came down like it came down slow. And then it just took off. And I was like, whoa, I don't know where that came from. I didn't know because I didn't look into it. But I'm like, I'm glad that he brought that up because I remember just seeing that and just thought that was wild. And I was like, maybe there's an explanation for it. But I didn't know that this was like a thing that wasn't classified and all this other type of stuff. So I do think that Vito was right on that far as it being maybe not the interstellar thing, but definitely the, hey, we spent a lot of money and we keep spending the money and we've been doing it for so many years. And you keep telling the world that this is not a thing. So like, why are we still spending that money on it?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I feel like it could also be, even though I don't really like to bring this up, it could also be kind of like even more political gain in that sense because why did we create Space Force? Like I still don't know. There's no space warfare. Like we don't really, So like it could be like some shuffling going on. It could be something, but there might be more to it because I feel like this whole Space Force thing was to be the first one kind of to do it.
Yep.
It could be with there maybe seeing more information like a higher amount of like people sending in stuff when it comes to this UAP. So they want to be the first ones to be out there. It could be something like that. I don't really know.
It's a modern age space race. Because I look at it, I agree with that. I feel like it definitely could be and I wish he came back for this, but I definitely could feel like this is the government also going through the process of saying, hey, there's a bunch of disenfranchised people because you've been thinking or intrigued in anything alien related. You literally talk about it in the shadows. Because like nobody takes it as a actual legitimate thing, but there's a whole group of people that now you can pull in and be like, hey, you know what? That senator over there, he's looking good for re-election, because now he's talking about the things I want to talk about. Because then you listen to Senate hearings, a lot of times you're like, okay, we're talking about fracking right now. Like do I care about fracking? Like do I care about coal? Like somebody does, but. That's the biggest thing. I mean, we're not gonna. There's gonna like for me, and that's one of the things that the video is like. He's like, "Yo, you're gonna wait until you see an alien right in your face before you believe it." And I'm like, I just need some more evidence, and I need more. What I said, verifiable evidence. So if Arrow is going out in there and actually declassifying and then verifying some of this stuff, I can believe that. I can believe more of that, but I do think that it's going to take, if we're being socialized with this idea, it's going to take some time.
So hold that thought. I wanted to go back to the Space Force thing. I thought the Space Force thing was so we can like more money put into like traveling and like getting further out in space.
No.
Space Force is specifically for like defense?
It's a part of the army. It's part of the military.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a part of the military though that Trump created to protect our skies.
It sounds crazy, right?
When you describe it, yes, it sounds crazy, but
I've always wondered what we gonna do, because like based off the movies I've seen, if they can move like they're moving, where they have like force fields. I even looked into like force fields. And there's like actually a science behind it, but we don't have enough things to make it actually happen. I'm like, if it's real, if they're like, we are getting visitors, there has to be somebody to be like, hey, if we get a visitor who ain't playing, we need some type of defense. Yeah, and I don't think our regular stuff, based off the movies, our regular stuff is not going to be able to defend that.
Some of the stuff we've seen from UAP, we couldn't defend against that shit if we wanted to. We legit couldn't do anything about it. The fact that some of the stuff that we've seen, like what I call the verifiable videos, where that thing skipped around, ain't no missile in the world can take that down. So they better be talking diplomacy. Like they gotta figure something out, because if that's happening that way, it's not gonna be good for us. It's gonna be like that movie with what's it do for Mission Impossible?
Oh, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, End the World, where like the thing's shot down into the ground and then they tore the whole world up. And then if that, like, what are we gonna do in that case? You better find a bunker.
I'm just saying, like, and that's why I do think that the government, if this stuff is real, they do want to keep some of that technology because if it's capable of defending that stuff, we do want to be the leading people in having that technology to defend ourselves, right? So I guess I do get why they would, if it's real, right? Why they would be hesitant, like Kane said about the technology.
Yeah.
But also with the Space Force thing that y'all just brought up, I'm like, a whole force? There has to be something behind that, because why hasn't it been a thing in the past? I've always thought like that. Like, why is this person doing this? Like you said, why now?
Why
right?
now? Yeah.
And I'm like, the things that make sense to me in my mind without any real knowledge is, okay, hey, is either, the money is not looking right, which it hasn't been looking right. We need to like really have some type of receipts for why we're giving out this money for this thing. Because even with the Space Force, I'm like, that was signed off on, right?
I mean, that's a branch of the government.
So you saying like some intelligence person was just like, hey, we need this. Oh, billions of dollars. Okay, cool. Have it. There had to have been some type of classified information that they provided for whoever signed off on that. Because I can't see that being in place unless something is backing that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I do understand where you're coming from, Styles, where you're like, you would like more visual, like actual 4K. Let's just 4K. Like,
and honestly, this is it's not just this. Like, if you think about like when we went to war with Iraq, there was talks of weapons of mass destruction. I would have asked the same question then, because we went to war for how many years, and we never found one, bro. You didn't find a flake of plutonium nowhere. Nothing.
And my rebuttal to that would be like, we found it and then we kept it, but then we didn't want to tell people what we found.
I think I mean that's a conversation for another time. But we
I don't know. People are shady, man.
I feel like we went into that war for on a different context and different pretext.
Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
And here we are. So I say all that to say, I don't like, as someone who I've always been into to astrology and into space. It's like I watch like damn near every Star Trek related thing, every like all of the
Star
Hollywood,
Wars.
All the Star Wars, all the Hollywood. I would say all the Hollywood created content about space is always something that I've consumed. So yes, I would love to know more about aliens and know more about, especially things that can fly into your space, tap you on your head, and head out. Like that. That is,
hey,
I would love to know what's happening here, because it could be the difference between us, leaving this planet and going somewhere else. It also means that there's habitable planets somewhere else, that are way more intelligent than we are.
Well, I was going to say, from a view of someone else viewing us, there's a world where, if, like, say, for example, if we went back in time, right, with the technology we have now, it would be alien to our ancestors.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yo, what
That's
the
true.
heck? So I'm like, even our ability to make technology and create these things and do these things, I'm like, I can see someone being, around for a long enough time to be able to do that, because the way we're headed, it seems like we are the ones who are going to be the aliens. Like, we're going to be the ones, and I've seen movies like this where we're going to be the ones who can go somewhere, stop on a dime, and go back up in the air.
Yeah.
So, we have stuff like that. Hey.
Yeah, so he got hit by a UAP.
Yeah, the visitor.
Government is on our ass today, boy.
They're like, you dropping too much gems, bro. You gotta go.
Exactly.
Yeah, you was cooking, man. You was cooking.
That motherfucker sent me an EMP over here, man.
But we were just talking about more, just kind of finishing the conversation about like why now and potential of things.
What were your thoughts, like, quickly, because I wanted to hear that.
So what I was saying is that I like what the part where you're like, hey, we're spending all this money. And my impression of it was like, hey, well, if this is not a real thing, why do we keep spending this money? Because if I come to you and you're like, I know everything's classified and everything, but I'm like, you keep telling the world this ain't a real thing, but yet I'm spending billions of dollars on this thing. And somebody might say, well, they've been doing that. I'm like, yeah, but are you going to continue doing the thing just because it's what we've been doing? You know what? Hey, the pandemic happened. That probably cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, things are down. We need to cut costs somewhere. We're going to do it with this. And they're like, whoa. It actually is a little bit real, though. It's like, well, you ain't showed me no receipts. So what's up?
Yeah.
So I was saying that part of what you were saying. I like that part. And then also I was mentioning what you said about the interstellar thing coming down. I want to say I saw a video of that. Where like it came down slow. And then it got to a certain point, and then it took off up. And I was like, I didn't know if it was real or what it was, but I was like, something moving like that was crazy to me. And so when you mentioned it, I was like, I remember that. So
that seems like such a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was before 2020. So
yeah, it was. Yep. And I think that's kind of what set this thing in motion a little bit. So, but who knows? We still don't know what it is. But I can agree with you, Nick, on the fact that it's definitely a money play going on here. The government don't do shit for free now.
Yeah,
it comes with a price tag. So
yeah,
but I think what we're seeing is somebody calling them out on their bullshit. I think David Brush, when they came up with this Arrow program, and they came up with, NASA has a program too now. They're tagging along with the UAP program. So when Arrow came out and NASA came out with these programs, and they were like, hey, all right, yeah, these things are flying around, but we're going to need some more money to investigate it. I think that's where we get David Grush coming out like, bullshit. You guys know exactly what this is. We've been dealing with it since the 50s or the 40s, and I think that's the argument is no longer do they exist. The argument is no longer whether people who see these things are crazy. I think that's out of the question. I don't think anybody should be arguing that point now. Where they come from, who's piloting them, that's up for grabs. Nobody can say definitively either or. But the argument, if these things exist, it should be out of the window now. Nobody should be even saying that, oh, they don't exist, you're crazy. It's as much evidence. These things are on camera more than R. Kelly before his trial. I'm just keeping it real, bro.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
if a motherfucker get caught on camera this much, and this was a court case closed.
Throw away the key.
That's it. We see these things on camera all the time. Not only that, we got key witnesses coming out who work in these places. Like, I just don't see what else you would need at this point. Besides an alien coming down with their government ID and saying, hey, we're from somewhere else. I just don't see what else you would need.
That would help. I mean, I think the Dave Chappelle thing was great. It's like, I need 2 forms of ID. I need your grandmother to show up and confirm that you were born in this day. I need some more information, man.
So what would, obviously we're joking with that part, but I remember you saying something earlier in the conversation about credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have all these people coming out, what exactly are you looking for? Like if the 14-year-old intelligence officer doesn't do it for you, what type of credibility would you need to really help you in your decision making? My
biggest thing is, and this is one of the arguments that we had, it's like, at the end of the day, we have 3, maybe 4 verifiable witnesses of this that we can say, based on their history and based on their tenure in their jobs, we trust their opinion. But if they can say, okay, well, these are the videos I see and I confirm this is real, then we can say, okay, cool. Well, at least that we're starting in a great place. But we can't sit here and say that there has never been fake videos put out there.
Okay.
Because they have. And that is my biggest thing. It's like, if there's a potential of introducing doubt
mm-hmm.
into any one of these videos, then there's a potential of them not being real.
You know what I've had an issue with is having to prove that something is real when you haven't proved to me that it's fake.
That's his thing too. That's his argument all the time.
Thank you.
So I'm like, well, because I've seen this before where I'm like, I give someone something that proves a lot, but like, you got 800 sightings, you got intelligence officers, but nothing has been shown to me to say this is fake. Like, yeah, there might have been some fake videos, but you haven't showed anything concrete. Like, you want something concrete from me, but you haven't gave me nothing concrete to show that this is bull.
And not to piggyback on that at all, I agree with Nick wholeheartedly in this. The burden of proof isn't on us anymore. We've come to the table with videos. We've come to the table with whistleblowers. If people want to say this isn't true, they literally have to prove that it's not true anymore. It was reversed before. It was, okay, we say you've seen UAPs, you've seen UFOs, and then we had to prove it. But now it's like the evidence is damn near overwhelming at this point.
Overwhelming is strong. Let's not get too carried away.
I'm lost, man.
Overwhelming is strong. Overwhelming is saying that
they caught you on video one time, stealing from the store, your ass going to jail. These things is on video.
At least 800.
We cannot, but we can't verify 800. And this is an argument I had with him before. We can verify maybe 4 or 5 videos based on the exit. Is that enough?
You know what? This is where it's like, hey,
is that enough?
I got to. This is Styles. Hey, give me an example. I give you an example. Give me another one. No. You asked for one example.
You can't use the first one anymore.
No. Right. So if they give you 4, you still haven't provided one of your argument of it's fake.
I have not, and this is the part that we get stuck on, like me and Vito, is that I am not saying that it's inaccurate. I'm saying that there is a potential of it being inaccurate. And all I have to do is insert the potential.
The doubt.
Listen, I don't have a burden of proof of showing it's real. I don't need to show it's real. I just need you just to show me that you know it's real. Show me your work, bro. This algebra. Show me your work.
How did you come to this answer?
How did you get to this answer? And that is the thing that we get stuck on, because he's like, oh, well, you need to pick a side. I'm like, I don't feel like I have enough information for me to go out there and unequivocally say this is a thing. It's like when you talk about all the stuff being sent, all the money being sent to Ukraine. Do I know that Ukraine's actually at war? I have no idea. We have been told that they're at war, but I have no way of confirming that they're at war. Zelensky could be a great actor.
Well, let me ask you this. When do
exactly. Go ahead. Sorry, what?
I want to ask a question because I notice this more and more. And me and Styles have this argument, but I also have this argument with like 2 other people. But I notice more and more there's a distrust of like, to me, if I didn't see the videos, I've never been a UFO guy, so I want to get that out the way. I don't want I don't want the title of, I believe in UFOs. I've never been that. Like, I watch the news, I watch current events, and this is how I got this information. It was on CNN, like literally. So, and then that just made me get interested and start investigating into it and looking into it more. But where did we get this notion of, if you see it with your eyes and you let's say hear it, I know that's not a good term, but you hear it from these people who are coming out and saying it, that you have to wait until somebody else validates it for you to believe it. Like, if I seen some shit, I seen it. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks or if it's generally accepted to be believed or not. I think we got away from trusting our own senses and our own mind, and now we're waiting on somebody else to tell us, hey, this is real. Watch the videos for your damn self.
But my point is, as people here in here who've all done video work, I can take a video of us doing this, and I can take a song, and I can make it sound like we are, we're requesting money for children in Africa, right? Based on how I take this exact same conversation and I chop it up. So when you have things like that and you understand how hot dog is made, you're kind of like, is this a vegan hot dog? Like, what is this, right? Like, I know exactly what it takes to introduce something into somebody and have them feel somewhere. Not exactly, but I generally know based on the things we've seen in movies. It's like you watch a movie and you get to a point where the rain is coming down, you get the slow violin, and this is a romantic moment, right? Because your brain is programmed for that. So when you show me a video that, one, is very short, quality's not clear, I can't differentiate exactly what it is for myself, there's a potential for doubt. And that's really all it is. And that's why it's like, for me, I'm not in a space where, Like the other people he sounds like he argues with are like, oh, this is fake. This is not a thing. I would never jump out there and say that. I'm just saying there's a potential for some of this stuff to not be real. And if Arrow's job now is to confirm the validity of these things, then we may see 800 validated UAP videos. Because it's literally somebody's job to do. And yes, there is a distrust. And I do think that, and when we had this conversation before, I feel like this was around the time like Trump, he was running a lot really strong disinformation campaign where he was pushing the media to do whatever he said. So like if he said something, oh, that's fake news, then they wouldn't report on it as hard next time.
Exactly.
I don't think that's the case here. I think we're in a place where we have more information, more access than ever before. And it's our responsibility to ask the extra question. Hey, well, is this real? It doesn't mean that we don't see or we don't think that it's real. It's just like, I feel it's my responsibility, especially going back to the video creation part. I'm used to long form content. So I will sit and watch a 2-hour congressional hearing about UAPs. But if you give me a 45-second video of something doing the shimmy on the screen, I don't know if that's a UAP. I don't know. You understand? Like 45 seconds made me watch that reel 3 times, which made the Instagram algorithm go up. Do I know that's a real thing or someone getting clicks?
So the only thing I would say to that, because I like the fact that you said the potential of doubt, right?
Yes.
That's fine. I guess my thing would be, I never want people to move in a way, like, because you say you was like, you're not saying it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never want people to move in a way where they think they're so like, yo, this is fake, this ain't real. And then it becomes real and you're unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I could say. Like, for example, you with a young lady, you out, the night don't go well, and you was like, yo, first date, I'm probably not gonna hit. Right?
Took a turn.
You take her home. You say, no, I'm not gonna hit. So you didn't clean your room. You didn't prepare the condoms. And then she said, you know what, MVP? Let's go back to your place. Damn. I didn't think this was gonna be real. So I didn't even prepare for the smashing.
What a wild analogy for a UAP. But
now,
very good analogy, actually. I like that. I enjoyed it.
I mean, I think some people can relate. And then like, now you got to figure out what you're going to do in the situation when you're confronted by a visitor that you wasn't prepared for.
You just get a hotel. But like, I get the analogy, but you just get a hotel. I'm just saying.
This is my yes.
What if,
okay,
who got hotel money?
Wait, no, I can debunk his statement here. I've had interactions with people because we move in multiple circles. I've had interactions with people, and I tell MVP, I'm like, that person that they kind of sus. He's like, I like to find out for myself, and I'm like, there we are doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing here. I would like to find.
Yo, stop hanging out with me,
you cannot. I'm clapping my hands now because I have a debate, and that's the thing. We have arguments, like we had a 2-hour argument about this, me and Vito. And I'm like, honestly, all I need to do, I don't have to prove that it's fake. I just have to prove there's a potential of it not being real. That's it. That is it from a debate standpoint.
Yeah, you are 100% right about that. And I we can't fight that point. Nobody.
Yeah, you can't fight that point.
But I mean, that goes with anything. I don't walk around saying, "Hey, I don't see air, so prove to me it's real." Like,
hey, Vito, that was a good jab. That
was a good jab.
I could give you a rebuttal. Go underwater.
Okay.
Go underwater. There's no air in your lungs.
Go into space.
Let me know how it works.
Okay.
Go into space.
No, you're 100% right. But what I'm trying to say is that it's almost like we're waiting for this to be generally accepted. When okay, I may be wrong.
Yeah, no.
For the most part, from people I talk to who are on the other side of this argument, it's almost like, yeah, they said this, but is it like, did they really say it was real? And it's almost like, bro, like we are past that. Like I want everybody to catch up on the same. Yeah, at least we know it's something. There's some type of technology out there, even if it's another government's.
Correct.
It's something.
We don't know what it is. Correct. And that's the thing is that anybody who could argue that this thing is not real or this is not happening
at this point,
it questions if you should be talking to that person in the first place. because there's literally enough information to introduce doubt on the other side. But my thing is, as I said, and we're going for a long time, so all we need to do is see what's happening. It's not waiting for anybody to verify it, because honestly, we could go another 60 years and none of this could happen again. Literally, this could have been an uptick and then it disappears. And then we could not be talking about this in a little bit. It's true because, I mean, if you think about it, going back into history, there was always arguments about like who built the pyramids. How did we build all these large things with rudimentary tools? And people are, oh, well, maybe it's aliens. And it's always this lingering thing that people talk about. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We have no idea. If you search hard enough, you can find evidence that one thing is fake, one thing is real. Anywhere you want to go. So you got to make a determination for yourself.
Yeah, there's one thing in the military we always say, we say trust but verify, right? We say
100%.
everything. And I think the videos can put me at the point where I can say I can trust it, right? But for me to trust it, but like if I want to verify it and I can't find every like verification on it, then they kind of lose. Then it becomes in that kind of gray area for me. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at things. Like I do it with a lot of stuff, but like the way I'm looking at it with like UAPs, it puts me in that area.
And I think honestly, we're just gonna be in that space for a little bit. I think because of the amount of stuff that's happened in the last couple of months, I think we will get to more of that verifiable point. And I think I've been saying that from the beginning. If we have stuff like Arrow going and actually saying that they're verifying these videos, then at least we could be like, okay, cool. Well, instead of me saying you got 4 videos, you have 100 videos that are, verified. But then also the question always just come in is like, is Arrow just trying to keep the budget rolling? Because there's a budget for that now, right? So there's always going to be an argument.
All right, can I say one thing here? And
What's up?
Wrap it up. But I would like for people to do their homework. I can't tell you if it's something you're not interested in. Don't fuck it. It doesn't matter. The alien's not going to come down here and pay your bills, so it doesn't matter. But like there was a guy before this who I got introduced to on TV. It was like a late night TV show when I was a kid. Damn it! Literally was right there. Hold on. Well, anyway, it was a guy. Once I remember his name, I'll get it for you. But he brought this out before. He's a whistleblower. He supposedly had worked on these craft and in Area 51 or before that. Before it was called Area 51. So
Bob
Lazar, thank you.
Yes, I had to go
this
look up
is like
message.
The most normal, non-UFO tinfoil hat guy you will ever lay eyes on. Like, I not because I met the guy in person, but just from what I watched of him and all the videos I watched of him, he really doesn't want to be bothered. Like he wants to raise his family and go away and disappear in oblivion. But when you watch him, there's an interview with him and Joe Rogan. And the other guy, Jeremy Corbell. But when you watch him and he tells you these stories and he tells you these things that he's worked on, it's like, I can't not believe this guy. I have a hard time finding any flaws in his story. I have a hard time finding any flaws in his character. He just seems like he doesn't want to be bothered at this point, but he told the story and it's out there and he wants people to know about it. And if you don't know about it, you don't care, then hey, don't watch it. And I think that's something I want you guys to look into when you get a chance to. Bob Lazar. And then the other thing is, if we aren't being visited, if this is some ploy somebody would have to tell me what this is about, because I don't get it. Either everybody's going crazy and this U.S. Intelligence agencies just making up alien stories and shit, or there's a bigger play here. If this is about money, we're talking about a government that has access to print this money. I don't think they would need to go there. Listen, there isn't a program for mermaids. There isn't a program for Bigfoot. There isn't a program for RoboCop and his friends. This is literally. I don't know what else to say. All right. I'm just saying that when you look at the things that this is grouped into, UFO, Bigfoot, aliens, whatever other terminology you want to use, the only one that has a government program and a program at NASA is UFOs. There has to be some validity to the story. It has to be something. And that's just my point. It's hard to ignore at this point.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we could keep going and talking about this forever. I'm trying to get Vito to create his own show about this, since like he cares passionately about this. So I don't know, maybe we'll find a way to make it a real thing.
No, I'm just you're cooking. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So yeah, say if you made it this far, you already know what it is. This was a long one too. We appreciate you. This is an interesting topic. And, maybe we'll be able to do a part 2 of this, and it'll be like, hey, here's my buddy the alien, and we're interviewing an alien. We don't know. It could be. It's potential. We have no idea where this is going to go. No. Listen, let's go out to the airways. We might put it in a time capsule and be like, they didn't even believe aliens were a thing. Who knows? But this has been a good episode, definitely. Make sure to follow us. Drop us a like if you think we're crazy and out of the world by having this conversation. Let us know, because we like to have the conversation. That's what we're here for. So, this has been Juxtaposed. Peace.